We're in volume 5 of the Bible story by Arthur S Maxwell. We are on part 1, story 3, Fed by Ravens. That's what it says. Okay. When Elijah left Ahab's palace, God said to him, Get thee hence and turn thee eastward, and hide thyself by the brook of Cherith, that is before Jordan. And it shall be that thou shalt drink of the brook, and I have commanded the ravens to feed thee there. He knew of the brook of Cherith very well. No doubt, as a boy, he played on its banks. As for the raven, he remembered them too, and where they nested. It was a long, tiresome journey back across the Jordan and up one of those wild canyons over the mountains beyond, and beyond, at the bottom of which ran a tiny stream. Coming at last to a cave or an overhanging rock, he stopped and rested, certain that Ahab could never find him there. It was a lonesome, desolate spot. Not a sound broke the silence save a distant call of the ravens and tinkling of the stream that cascaded over rocks and pebbles towards the Jordan. There was no trace of a man or a woman, boy or girl. He was alone, utterly alone, with God. Growing hungry, he wondered where he could find food. But there was no food anywhere, and he dared not betray his hiding place by going in search of some. An hour slipped by, evening came. Then, just when it seemed as though he must go to sleep without a bite to eat, a raven flew overhead and dropped something. Elijah picked it up. It was food. How thankful he was. Strange that a raven should act like this. Perhaps it was just an accident. But no, it could not be, for here came another. And then it has an illustration of the ravens dropping food for him. It's a big page, isn't it? It has a story in the middle of it. Sorry, I got a summer cold. And another, each dropping some choice morsel that normally it would itself have eaten. As Elijah looked up and saw the food falling as it were from heaven, he remembered God's promise to command the ravens to feed him. His heart overflowed with thankfulness. My God is Jehovah, he said. He may well have said, Wonderful, wonderful God. In the morning, the same thing happened. As the sun rose above the canyon walls, the ravens came flying in low again, dropping their little offerings of food to this man who was a friend of God. And the ravens brought him bread and flesh in the morning, and bread and flesh in the evening, and he drank from the brook. Day after day, this wonderful thing happened, and Elijah marveled more and more at the goodness of God in looking after him so faithfully. Much of the time he spent down by the brook, where the cool water helped him bear the terrible heat. Gradually he noticed the stream getting smaller and smaller, shallower and shallower. Some nights he could barely hear its tinkle anymore. He knew then that he would soon have to leave this hiding place and find another. But where could he go? Where would he be safe from the anger of Ahab? But he had no need to worry. God was thinking of him and planning for him. Finally, when the last trickle of water had appeared, and the last little pool in the bed of the brook had dried up, God said to him, "Go thee to Zer, Zarephath, Zarephath, which belonged to Zidon, Zidon, Zarephath, Zarephath, which belongs to Zidon, Zidon, and dwell there. Behold, I have commanded a widow woman there to sustain thee." Elijah understood at once. He was sent, God was sending him far north of Samaria to a little city near the coast, bidding his friends, the ravens, farewell, and gathering up their last little gifts of love, for he knew he would find no food on his journey. He set out for Zarephath. Day after day he trudged on, over rocky hillsides and steep mountain trails. How tired he must have been! How hungry! How very, very thirsty! Weary, hot, and dusty, he drew near at last to Zarephath. Now he could see the outlines of the city wall. Now the gate he would have to. Now the gate he would have to enter. How glad he was that his long, tiresome journey was almost over. But how would he find the widow, the woman who was to take care of him? God had not told him her name, nor where she lived. Was she rich? Was she rich or poor, old or young? All he knew that about her was that she was a widow, and there must be many widows in Zarephath. How could he? How would he know the right one? With Ahab's soldiers looking for him everywhere, he must not make a mistake. And then it has a picture of him taking the food and the ravens down at the bottom of the 2 pages. Him going to Zarephath. And that was the end of part 1, story 4. So it's break time. So I'm going to break and before I start on the next story. And we'll see what happens. I already know the story, but we'll see what happens.